From managing to keep the ending a secret for half a year, to the film surviving 3 different changes in directors, here's everything you didn't know about The Flash's ending and its secret cameo. Hollywood secrets are usually about as well kept as a fart at a funeral, but these guys managed to pull off something truly impressive. After more than 25 long years, guess who decided to step back into the iconic role of Bruce Wayne? George freaking Clooney. Yeah, you heard me right. Mr. Bat Nipples, minus the nipples, donned the cowl once again for the ending of The Flash. But as surprising as that whole thing was, what's more impressive is that Warner Brothers, of all people, managed to keep this bombshell of a secret hidden from us all for a whopping 6 months. And trust me, in a world where spoilers travel faster than any Scarlet Speedster, that's no easy feat, folks. Clooney's portrayal of the caped crusader in 1997's Batman and Robin is memorable to say the least. But for all the wrong reasons. The film's often ranked as one of the worst superhero films of all time, and the legendary actors made it pretty clear that he doesn't want to be associated with it, becoming the biggest stain on his otherwise stellar career. I mean, the guy has trash-talked it left and right, and you can't really blame him. It really wasn't the defining moment anyone could have hoped for. But hey, at least it served as an example to all future directors on how to not do a superhero film, that is. Snagging the role of Batman was supposed to be Clooney's big leap into movie stardom, especially considering the fact that back then, it was the actors who made a movie shine, not just the brands or IPs. Unfortunately, Batman and Robin ended up setting both DC and Batman movies back by a decade, and it would take years for Christopher Nolan to bring Dark Knight back to the big screen, thanks to 2005's Batman Begins. Clooney's return as Bruce Wayne in The Flash wasn't a planned event either. It actually happened over a couple of weeks, with a few phone calls, a couple of movie screenings, and a half day of shooting in January. That's it. They basically just hit up Clooney asking him if he wanted to appear at the end of their flick for like 10 seconds, and the guy agreed. In case he decided to pass on the chance, director Andy Muschietti had not 1, not 2, but 3 different endings prepared as spares. Can you imagine the absolute cluster truck of work the filmmakers probably went through? Especially considering how DC was going through an entire merger and change in management at the time. The Flash started off under Toby Emmerich and DC Films bigwig Walter Hamada, and most of the filming and post-production took place under their watchful eyes. You see, Walter had this grand plan in mind, wanting The Flash to act as a major reset of the entire DCU, scraping the universe established by Zack Snyder with Man of Steel over a decade ago. Walter had it all mapped out, working on a sequel film that would then transition into the legendary 1980s comic event, Crisis on Infinite Earths. The guy was thinking big and wanted to shake things up in the most insane way possible. The Flash was originally planned and shot with an ending that had Supergirl, portrayed by the talented Sasha Calle, and Michael Keaton's Batman standing together on the courthouse steps. Which makes sense, considering how Keaton's Batman had already made appearances throughout the movie, making his long-awaited return to the role. In the original ending, turns out that Barry didn't actually reset the timeline like he thought he did, but after it went through multiple rounds of screen testing, they decided that it didn't deliver the impact they'd been hoping for. They wanted to make sure it hit all the right notes, and as such, they decided to reverse the deaths of both Supergirl and Batman that had occurred earlier in the film. Yeah, they were not planning on bringing those two back at all. But then, in 2022, Discovery acquired Warner Brothers, and things got a little crazy. Toby and Walter got the boot, despite being the head directors of the film, and the new boss, David Zaslav, was on the hunt for someone new to steer the DC ship. In the meantime, Michael DeLuca and Pamela Abdy took over as the chairpersons and CEOs, and these new folks had their own plans for DC. But then later on in November, David dropped yet another bombshell, announcing filmmaker James Gunn and producer Peter Safran as the new heads of DC Studios. They were given the keys to oversee all DC film and television projects. And let me tell you, these guys wasted no time in putting their plans to work. Lightning really does strike the same film twice, huh? Gunn and Safran decided to reset the DCU according to their own vision, and that meant some tough decisions had to be made. They realized that they couldn't have Henry Cavill's Superman and Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman in the new ending, as it might mislead fans into expecting something that they never planned to deliver. So they decided to take some bold actions, with one of the first things being scrapping the whole Cavill Superman film. Yep, all that work was gone in a flash, pun not intended. That's not all, because they also decided to get rid of director Patty Jenkins, pretty much killing off Wonder Woman's third installment. Naturally, this meant that the filmmakers were faced with a challenge. They wanted to keep a key idea alive, which was to have Barry Allen, our beloved speedster, think everything is back to normal, only to have the rug pulled out from under him at the last moment. It was a classic high-risk, high-reward situation, pulling a last-second plot twist trope to try and keep fans on the edge of their seats. But they also wanted to add a little extra spice to the mix. And what better way to do that than by having multiple Batmen? Hey, I mean, if they can get Nicolas Cage to do Superman, then I don't see how they can't bring back Clooney either. I'm not complaining. These cameos were probably the highlight of the film for me, at least alongside that scene where Flash put those babies in a microwave. Even to the filmmakers themselves, managing to bring back Clooney was a long shot, but Gunn and Safran, being the daredevils they are, jumped on the idea. They knew it would add a whole new level of excitement and nostalgia to the film, and so they reached out to the megastar's agent at CAA, Brian Lord, showing him a cut of the mostly finished movie. And guess what? He liked it. He wasted no time in showing it to Clooney himself, who also instantly gave it his seal of approval, totally on board with being a part of this epic Bat reunion. Things moved fast. And as I mentioned before, a shoot was quickly organized. And in January, there he was, George Clooney himself, donning the cape and cowl after a whopping 26 years. Talk about a blast from the past. And of course, joining him on set was Ezra Miller, our very own Barry Allen, bringing the character to life in all his speedy glory. It was the young star's first time back on the lot since back in August of 2022, when they'd met with DeLuca and Abdi to discuss their recent controversial behavior, including all of those multiple arrests. Miller, according to insiders, was reportedly in top form that day. They brought their A-game and nailed each scene perfectly, and afterward, Miller had the opportunity to spend some quality time with Clooney in between takes as well, living the life. The veteran actor shared some words of wisdom, even offering some advice on how to handle the pressures of being in the public eye, and also on how to behave appropriately in public. Imagine getting scolded by the George Clooney himself, getting kinda jealous here. After everything was done and dusted, Warner Brothers obviously wanted to keep the new ending under wraps, going as far as not showing anyone the new ending until the day it hit the cinemas. Even at the CinemaCon screening, where theater owners and press got a sneak peek at the film back in April, they cut the film just before revealing who graced the courthouse steps in that epic finale. They sure know how to build up the suspense. The first time anyone besides the filmmakers themselves got a glimpse of the new ending was during press screenings in early June, and the grand reveal happened once again at the movie's premiere on June 12th. You know, it's pretty remarkable when you think about it. The film went through not just one, but 3 separate regimes, each with their own agenda during its post-production phase. None of these changes happened because of ill will, though, as it was simply a case of each director's vision and ideals clashing together. And at the end of the day, we got a film that was a decent farewell to the DCEU we once knew. Here's to hoping the new generation of films under Gunn and Safran live up to our expectations. So, from the film surviving 3 different changes in directors, to managing to keep the ending a secret for half a year, this was everything you didn't know about The Flash's ending and its secret cameo.